Hi Tailoring Talkers, it is the end of the third week of February, and that means it's the third anniversary, the third birthday of Tailoring Talk. The first episode went out on the 23rd of February 2021, jump back 20 years there. I can't believe it's been 3 years already. Thank you, I think is what I want to say. It's been a hell of a journey. I sound like this sounds like it's like a farewell speech. It's not, trust me. There's loads of episodes in the pipe, ready for edit, but I'm just very, very grateful that we've lasted this long and the podcast has been thriving. The downloads, etc., all going back up again. Obviously, I had a little break between December and January with moving house and a lot of other things that have been going on in life. But back, raring to go. I've had some fantastic conversations the last couple of weeks with some people I can't wait for you to hear, and just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the last 3 years really of the podcast. It's been quite a journey. You never know who's listening. I think that's the biggest lesson that I've learned so far. You never know who's listening. I had a call from a really good friend of mine and client, Jason Davis of Pearl and Chance Estate Agents in Golders Green, and I had no idea that Jason listened to this. And Jason, if you're listening to this, I want to say a massive thank you, and also thank you for calling me that day. Jason mentions that, so Jason worked for a larger estate agents for years. If you're ever looking to buy, sell, let property in northwest London, he is the man to go to. And I'd been meaning to get in touch with him just to catch up, see how he was doing, and I had no idea that he'd actually left the agency that he'd been at for so long. And Jason explained that he was in the process of launching his own agency, and he wanted to thank me because I think maybe one of the podcast episodes in particular, there's something that I or my guest said that sort of either motivated him or encouraged him.
Speed limit camera ahead.
Sorry, I'm in the car. Shut up, Siri. Encouraged him to or just pushed him to take that step. I'm sure he'll correct me. I'm kind of trying to paraphrase him and not doing a very good job of it, but that really was such a big energy boost. When I get feedback, Simon Chambers is another one who emails me to tell me when there's been an episode that's particularly struck a chord with him. Or so there was one where we talked about dorme fabrics and how amazing those are, and he went to see his tailor. He's based in Canada, and got him to make a suit for him using a dorme fabric, and he got in touch to say it's I think the best suit that he's ever had. Like, he absolutely loves the fabric. So and he took precious time out to write and tell me that. So when I get feedback, it means so much, because, you know, like I said a few minutes ago, you never know who's listening. It's something that I'm learning week by week. I'll get clients of mine who, in the middle of a fitting, while I'm measuring their inseam or something, will suddenly say, oh, by the way, I listened to an episode of your podcast the other week and it was really helpful, and I shared it with some of my staff members because I thought it'd really help them, or I shared it with a relative or a friend who's going through some stuff. And that's what I'm trying to do. You know, I love tailoring because I do love genuinely taking care of people, although I do moan about it sometimes. It is a very stressful job, and I think it's not even so much about the making the clothes. I think it's when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with individuals, you kind of almost act as, well, at an overall level, a lot of these clients become friends, they become mentors, they become more than just a client, and sometimes it can get quite heavy because of that familiarity that you have with each other. You know, a lot of my long-term clients are appointments. You know, we schedule half an hour together, and then the first 15-20 minutes are just spent catching up with each other, finding out about what's been going on in each other's lives. Obviously, I've had a lot to moan about with, you know, the house move and generally being burnt out and tired all the time, and, you know, trying to juggle. There's a lot of other things going on personally that, you know, we're trying to sort of deal with and sort of struggle through. So yeah, and then, you know, your clients will be going through stuff as well, and, you know, I should be honoured. I am honoured that they feel enough trust with me to share some of these deeply personal things. But I think the problem comes where, because I'm quite empathic, so when I see someone who is going through something, whether it's joy or sadness or pain, I feel it. I take that energy from them, and I sort of absorb it myself. It's very hard to describe. And then I sort of feel what they're going through. That's why when I'm walking down the road, I can't walk past someone who's sat on the pavement in good conscience. I can't just walk by and just not stop and ask them if there's anything I can do to help them. So I think that's probably where the challenge in my job, where I sometimes do get a bit down. It's because sometimes you'll see. I know any of my clients that are listening, please don't take this as a message to stop sharing stuff with me. No, please, far from it. Carry on. You know, that's you know, my calling. I feel like it's my duty to be there as a sounding board for you, as an ear to talk to, a shoulder to not cry on. None of you have cried in front of me yet, but I'm sure that will come at some point. But yeah, I think that's what does make some days quite tough. So when I'm moaning about it, I'm not really moaning about, I guess, my job or even really my clients per se. I'm probably actually moaning at my own inability to, you know, to sort of listen and support people, but then not sort of carry it with me afterwards. It's very, very hard thing for me to do, and I don't know why I got into all of that just now. I think partly it has been a bit of a funny couple of days, really. So I wanted to also just take this opportunity to, speaking about, you know, people struggling and so on, to pay tribute to a dear client of mine, Robin Windsor. Now, that name will mean something to some of you, and it will mean nothing to probably a lot of you. I really need to turn these alerts off because it is really like messing up my chi, and I'm just about to go down Holloway Road, and there's a speed camera every 5 meters here. So Robin Windsor's name will mean something to some of you, and it will mean nothing to some of you. Robin was a dancer and a celebrity. He was part of, I think, the original troupe of Strictly Come Dancing dancers when that show was relaunched 15-20 years ago. And he found me via social media, and I think it was Twitter. He put out a tweet for a hookup, because he was after a green velvet jacket, and I saw the tweet because I follow a lot of the Strictly dancers on there, and I just messaged him back and I said, I'm your guy. And I think the trick with social media and when you're interacting with or trying to interact with people who have a bit more public presence is if you get in there early, they're more likely to see you. And Robin saw me and he got in touch. I think we had a few DMs over Twitter, and then we swapped numbers and we got together. And I got to measure him, and I made him this beautiful deep green velvet jacket, you know, in a dinner jacket style with a shawl lapel. And we also, I made a dinner suit for him, and I made some other things for him over the years. And he absolutely loved the stuff that I did for him. I mean, that green velvet jacket, you know, I'd sometimes get text messages from him saying he wore it on a tour or to an event, and everybody was talking about it. And some of you might have picked up that I'm talking very much in the past tense, because I was sat on the tube on the way home yesterday, and anyone who uses the London Underground will know that you get copies of the Metro newspaper just discarded all over the place, and I saw a headline and I saw Robin's face. And he was found dead in a London hotel room on, I think, on Tuesday night. It's Thursday today. And he's gone. He's gone. Now, I've been doing this for 21 years now, and in that time I can name the clients that I've lost, that have died while I've been in service of them. I think it's probably the best way to describe it. Keith Clarkson at CB Richard Ellis, Alan Thompson, Chantry Velicott, big Chelsea fan, Alan. I never held it against him. And Robin. So this one was, I mean, they're all hard, but this one was particularly quite tough, and I started tearing up on the train, and on the walk home I just burst into tears. I mean, you know, I don't know, it's so weird. I'm not very good with death and all of that sort of stuff. But I looked at the headline. There's weirdly mobile reception on a lot of the Northern Line now. So I was able to go to my Apple News app and kind of see what was going on. And he was in the top 5 headlines. And I then weirdly went to text him, and I saw the last message from him, which was, I think I'd sent him a message letting him know that I was thinking about him, and he messaged back and he said, that was so funny that you messaged, because I was at an event wearing your jacket and everyone was complimenting it. And I didn't reply back to that message the other day, because I get so many messages. Sometimes I just drop the ball. And I just sat there and I started tapping a reply to him. But he's gone. He was an amazing athlete. He was an amazing dancer. He did Strictly for a few years and was unceremoniously dumped by the BBC. I know that they've paid tribute and so on, but there was some stuff going on there that I don't know exactly what happened, so I'm not going to speculate, but I know from speaking to Robin about it that he was very, very upset. And, you know, there was something that wasn't quite right there in the background. And I got the sense that he was struggling with depression, anxiety. I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about it, performers are, for want of a better word, they're freelancers, they're self-starters, they are creators, they fit into the category of the very people that I love talking to on this show. And they don't earn a living if they're not getting employed. So that was really, really hard for him. And reading the news reports and, you know, tributes from close friends of his, like Christina Rianoff, great friend of his, and they were professional dance partners for years. It's obvious that he was really, really struggling. I remember bumping into him randomly outside Gatwick Airport, and we got talking. I introduced him to my wife, and you know, he always had time for people. This was also exemplified in the fact that when he wasn't working and he wasn't employed, he, you know, started up dance classes for people locally. You could go and be taught by him. He was so giving of his art. He really, really wanted as many people that were in his sphere as possible to experience the joy of his art, of dance. And he was on a cruise ship. I think he was performing last week. He was down in South Africa, or I don't know. I haven't read the news reports properly because it's been quite upsetting. But he was photographed a few days ago in the jacket, in the outfit that I made him. He loved that jacket. He really, really, really did. He really did. I'm so proud of that piece of work, and I'm so glad that it brought him so much joy. But it also, I don't know, it's just so weird. I can't explain it, and you know, if he's listening, if Robin, if you're listening, thank you for giving me the chance to not just work with you, but to be a friend. And it was an honor and a privilege. And I'm so glad that I made you clothes that just made you, at least for the times that you were wearing them, just feel great, feel better about yourself. Everyone around you was able to lift you up. Yeah, so there we go. Robin Windsor, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Google him. Have a look at some of his dance videos. He was such a talent, and he was so young. He was only 44. I mean, really, what a waste. Sometimes I don't understand the way that the universe works. My mum always used to say God wants the good ones. He doesn't want the bad ones. So that's why the bad ones live longer. Not sure that's an absolute science, but sometimes it feels like there's some truth in that. So there we go. So yeah, I just wanted to say a few words about Robin, because I'm not very, very good at talking to people. So right now I'm just in my car and I'm talking to you lot, but I'm talking to my iPad because obviously you're all not physically crammed into my Mini. The most people I managed to get into a Mini was 6 plus me when I was at college, and that was one of the old Minis. It was an Austin Mini Mayfair 1986 plate. 6 girls I got in there. That's how we used to roll in Croydon. They all wanted a lift, and I didn't have the heart to say no to any of them. And so I said, if we can fit you all in, then we'll give it a go. And that's what we did. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit random. I am going to... So the YouTube channel is now also starting to slowly grow back up again. Thank you to those of you that have actually embraced listening to the podcast on the YouTube channel. That's much appreciated. I had no idea it was a thing that people listen to audio videos, like no video, just audio, on YouTube. Amazing. But I guess it's quite handy if you've got your laptop there and you're doing stuff in the kitchen or whatever, and you just press play on something. You don't need to look at the screen, you just let it run. So thank you for that. And then we are going to be creating more content and so on. I'm trying to get the podcast / video studio set up at home. I think I might just have to get on with it and just film around the house. And obviously still film in the workroom when I can. Just to, there's so many little videos that I want to produce for all of you. Just to teach you stuff, go through, fashion history. Going back to Robin, so that was also the point I wanted to make about the podcast, because a lot of people say, why do you do it? You don't even talk about tailoring most of the time. And I try to explain to them that, I help people feel more confident and so on through the clothing that I create for them, when I can pronounce the word. And the podcast allows me to not just stop there. The conversations that I do have with some clients when they're going through tough times, and I hope that I'm able to give them a little bit of help and comfort. The podcast is kind of my way of carrying on doing that, but hopefully to a wider audience. And, I remember Jason Yang, who was a guest very early on in Tailoring Talk, he said to me something very, very important, because when I first started, you put an episode out and then you're looking at the download numbers and you're looking to see if anyone reviews you, and you get obsessed with it. And if nothing's happening or you're not getting much traction, you start worrying. And he said something really, really important to me. He told me to ignore all of those metrics and to basically just focus on this. And it is that if your conversations, if what you put out there, if each episode only helps one person in some way, shape or form, it'll have been worth it. And I think for content creators these days, whether they're podcasters, YouTubers, they're on Instagram, whatever, I think that's really, really important. You've got to come from a place when you post something of trying to help or inspire people. And that's why I don't do the sort of fancy luxury clothing lifestyle videos. There are some fantastic creators out there. Off the top of my head, I think of what my boyfriend wore on Instagram. That guy is fantastic. South African guy, shows you different outfit combinations and so on. But, in reality, although guys will be inspired to dress like that, maybe, who really does? So I try to come at things from a bit more practical point of view. Because at the end of the day, although I'm in that world, I'm not of that world. And I guess the people that I try to talk to more are less the brand, I was going to use a really derogatory word there, brand fans, I'll say. So people that have to have the really expensive labels. They'd still go and spend 5 or 6 grand on a suit in Savile Row, or buy a particular brand label, than like Armani or whatever, than actually save money or spend the same with someone who could actually make something for them that actually fits them better and is better quality. So I'm trying to talk to people that are coming from a place of normality and are trying to enhance themselves and do it in a way that, whether they use someone like me or they can't afford to and they need to maybe go cheaper off the peg and then have an alterations tailor make little tweaks to make things fit better. But I'm trying to come at it from a more practical point of view, and that can be a challenge because often you get mental blocks and you can't think of what to post and so on. And I think that's why sometimes you'll see me go through a frenzy of posting stuff, and then you'll not hear from me for a while, and it's because I've got a mental block, and I'm the ideas I'm coming up with, I'm thinking, who's this really going to help? My philosophy is fast becoming... Oh my God, Islington Council drivers are the worst. My philosophy is fast becoming, if what I'm about to create or post is not practically going to help someone or inspire them or educate them in some way, then I'm not going to do it. What's the point? It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of mine. And I think I'm okay with that. I'm starting to feel less guilty when I go a couple weeks without posting a video or a podcast episode. There's less excuse with the podcast, to be honest with you. So I do block recordings every week with a bunch of guests. So there's always something to go out. And then, I've been promising or threatening you for so long to do these solo episodes more regularly, and that hasn't happened. Maybe I should just do them in the car. So whenever I'm driving, I should just, pretend that all of you somehow are magically crammed in to my TARDIS of a Mini, and we're all just having a good old chat together, which is kind of quite nice. So yeah, content creation. There you go. There's been a lot going on in the wider world lately in terms of fashion. So we've had the Emmys and the BAFTAs. I really, really want to do videos where I show the red carpet and, the photos of the celebrities photographed on the red carpet, and then do a little commentary on what they're wearing. Because, there are some fantastic, inspired outfits out there. And then there are also some really weird stuff that even I can't comprehend what the designer was thinking when they came up with it. But I'm trying to figure that out at the moment, because there are some issues over copyright laws and that sort of thing. You can't just go and grab someone's photograph of a celebrity from the internet or from a news page and then use it in a video or whatever. So we're just looking into all of that copyright nonsense and trying to work out how we deal with it or work out a way around it, so that we can then start putting out content like that, because I think that'd be quite fun. And we also had London Fashion Week, which completely passed me by. This is what happens when you're a business owner and you basically focus your entire working time, dedicate your entire working hours to your clients. I don't really think about anything else outside of that, but we have had London Fashion Week, and I've been browsing through some quite interesting articles, because a lot goes on during fashion weeks. But really what I try to work out is where is the general trend going? Where is the fashion industry trying to push us next? I'm not so much, I think, great tailors aren't so much in the business of fashion. I'm not calling myself a great tailor. I'd leave it for my clients to decide where I am on that scale. But generally speaking, I think great tailors are more concerned with the person that they have in front of them and creating clothing that is in line with either who that person is or who that person wants to be, if they're not yet where they want to be, or they're not yet the person they are. And so, I've said to a lot of my clients, and some of you listening to this will remember these conversations where I've said, you've said, what's fashionable at the moment? And I've said, listen, you can be inspired by fashion, but you should never be dictated by fashion, because when we're making clothes for you, when I'm making clothes for you, I still want you to be able to go to the wardrobe in 10, 20 years time and pull out a suit or a jacket and not say to yourself, oh my God, that's in relation to what fashion's doing now, this is hideous, I can't wear that, and put it back in the wardrobe and wait for fashion to cycle round again and make you feel that it's acceptable to wear that thing. And what I mean by you can be inspired by fashion is, at the moment, I'm doing a lot more where we've been through a long period of skinny trousers and tight-fitting jackets and narrow notch lapels. Things are starting to relax and go back out the other way, and so now we're making lapels wider again. We are almost going back towards the 1990s, but I'm trying to do it for people in a way where I'm twisting what I'm doing for them rather than rewriting the rule book in terms of design. Obviously, we do have clients that say, they want something that is of the present, because fashion does go in cycles. Things, do go in and out of fashion, and it all cycles back round. But yeah, by and large, for stuff that people are going to be using regularly, you don't really want to be walking on the line of fashion. You want to be sort of skipping around it. So going back to content creation for you lot and for our little growing gaggle of supporters on YouTube and other places, I definitely going forward want to do more talking about stuff from what's going on in my industry. And talking about what's going on in my industry right now, it's the end of February almost, and we're heading towards spring summer, even though here in London it doesn't feel like it. God, the amount of rain we've had in the last few days. And so we're getting so many new fabric collections coming through now for spring summer. I'm trying to take some of those books home, the more interesting ones. So there's a new collection from Dorme called Dorme Naturals, I think it is, and I've left that book on my desk because I want to do a little, like how the YouTubers do their unboxing videos and reviews, where they sort of have a top-down camera view on a table, and then they're showing you the product and reviewing it. I'd like to start doing that with fabrics. If any of you are listening to this, drop me an email at tailoringtalkpodcast@gmail.com and let me know if it's something that you'd like to see. And speaking of what you'd like to see, do me a huge favour, please. Go to YouTube if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Look for Roberto Revilla London, and when you find my channel, which should be pretty easy, if you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, that would be so amazing. I'm trying to get to 500 followers subscribers by the end of March. So that's only 5 weeks away. We're at about 282 at the moment. So yeah, so if we can pick up 10-15 new subscribers a week on the YouTube channel, that would be absolutely amazing. The podcast goes out there as well, so it would give you another outlet to get me and my guests into your log holes that's not Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify or whatever you listen to the show on. And speaking of subscribing, with the podcast itself, if you don't mind going into Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'm not sure you can leave reviews on other platforms, but if the app that you use to listen to this podcast allows, please hit the stars and give me a rating. And if you can spare 10 seconds, please give me a review. Google or whoever the gods of podcasting algorithms are, they've changed everything recently, and now shows are getting recommended based on new reviews. So the shows that get fresh new reviews consistently are the ones that the platforms are pushing and showing to people as you might be interested in this show or this episode. We have got the ability with the conversations we have. I mean, we just had recent conversations with Nick Hutchison of Book Thinkers, amazing young man. I absolutely had such a blast with him. And he connects authors and publishers together, and he also inspires people to read. Not just buy books and leave them sitting on a shelf, but actually to read, be inspired, and take action from the things that you learn from your books. We spoke to Daniel Packard. That was the most recent episode before this one, about anxiety. Daniel is an engineer by trade, suffered a lot of trauma and anxiety in his own life, and went to get help, and no one could help him. And then, inspired by his father, who always told him if something isn't working, then make something better, he put his engineering expertise to use and found a way to help people to get rid of anxiety. We've had so many, and there are so many conversations coming up that can help people with certain things that they might be going through in their lives. I don't think it matters how successful you are. I think there is a lot of posturing in the world. A lot of people are going through stuff, and a lot of those same people hide it. We all have to put a front on and show ourselves to the world on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on all other platforms, in real life. When we see people, how are you? How often do you hear someone saying, I'm not good? How are you? I'm not good. I'm really not good at the moment. I think the problem is twofold. It's firstly the person who is being asked the question. For them, if they say, I'm not good, I'm not in a good place right now, I'm not happy, I've got things going on, my mind's all over the place, I'm stressed out, we've had some bad news at home, I'm not coping very well, I wish we could have put this meeting off, I don't want to be here today, I just want to let you know that up front, so please forgive me if I'm not feeling myself. People can't say those things because they're worried about how the other person's going to react, how the other person's going to see them, that the other person is not going to have any sympathy for them and is going to take offense, and they're going to look weak or unprofessional. What we don't realize is that we're all humans. We're all humans. We all have thoughts and feelings. We hurt. We feel pain. And I think it doesn't matter what scale of the definition of success you're on, whatever your definition is, differs for everybody. My best friend will attest to that. I laugh there because my best friend, he and I couldn't be any more different, but he's like a brother to me and I love him so much. But we are definitely, sort of different planets colliding. So it is twofold. It's the person, that's going through stuff that doesn't want to externalize it, and then it's everybody else. that doesn't appreciate that people could be going through things, doesn't see a colleague or someone that serves them or someone that they serve as being someone who is flesh and blood and has thoughts and feelings and has a heart and might be going through stuff. And so, that's why, where I think to myself, should I take this guest on? Should I interview this guest? I'm really conscious that I want a podcast that also does talk about menswear and tailoring and styling and so on, not just menswear, ladies wear as well. But then at the same time, I think to myself, if I have this guest on and we can help one person with that conversation, one person hears it that's going through something, that's struggling with something, like Robin was. If it helped that person, if it pulled that person back from the brink, if it inspired that person to better themselves, if it inspired that person to change their behaviour, to want to be better, to know that there was a way out of whatever it was that they were struggling with, that they were going through, to know that when you go through periods of pain, trauma, that it's not forever, to know that you can write your own story. That brings me back to reviews and discoverability and so on. I don't care about becoming a celebrity content creator or podcaster or monetization or whatever. I just want to reach more people who need to hear these conversations. And that's the reason why I ask, if you're listening to this still, well done for staying with me for this long. I think this is the longest solo episode I've ever done, so I should definitely, please give me your feedback. I reckon I should just do them in the car. And I'm almost at the workroom, so I've got to go now. You'll be relieved to know. But if you are listening to this, if you haven't reviewed us, please go to your listening app. And if there is the ability to leave a rating and review, please do so. And just help us to help more people. Help yourself to help more people by helping us help more people. There you go. I won't give you any more iterations of that. Right, I need to find parking now in central London, Tottenham Court Road. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for your support, every single one of you over the last 3 years. Thank you to everyone who gives me feedback, people who take time to get in touch and tell me what they think has been great, what's helped them, what they would like to see. Just thank you so much to every one of you that supports the show and supports what I do, and all my customers for your support of our little business. For those of you on Instagram that support the little reels that I do and so on, I'm very grateful to each and every one of you, so thank you. I'm going to try and put the Bondathon episode out next. We reviewed Tomorrow Never Dies, and that was an absolute cracker of a show. So I will endeavour to get that edited and out for you as soon as I can. In the meantime, stay safe, look after each other, keep sharing these conversations, and keep checking in on people that are nearest and dearest to you, both at home, at school, at university, at work, wherever you are every day. Keep checking on the people around you. Stay safe, be good, take care of each other, and I will see you on the next one.